Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today I am delighted to bring on one of our 2025 partners. So as you may know, in 2024, we had 4 primary partners that helped get their message out, help educate listeners, along with help listeners with some of the things that they're able to provide. And so as we roll into, I guess we're through Q1, we're recording this on the last day of March. So as we roll into Q2 of 2025, really excited to introduce our guests today. I think what they're doing is really at the forefront of what people are talking about. And it's no surprise that AI and how we can more effectively serve our customers, streamline our operations, and just overall create a better experience for our customers and the people that work on our teams is kind of front and center, I feel like, especially in the home services industry. So without further ado, would like to welcome Mr. Brad Scruggs, the president and CMO of ZyraTalk, to the podcast so that we can chat about all the great things that they are doing and how they can help our listeners out. Welcome to the podcast, Brad.
Really appreciate it, Chad, and really appreciate the partnership with you guys and Can't Stop the Growth. And 2025 is already starting to be a big year, and excited to be on and have a conversation here about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, AI is a very broad term. And I think due to its broadness can I don't know if that's even a word, broadness, but due to it touches so many different things, I think it's important maybe for listeners to get kind of a frame of reference for what it is that you guys do. I also think it's important to maybe share a little bit of your background, because I feel like your background, not good or bad or indifferent, just unique, I feel like, to this space, is you guys have been doing this a long time. So explain maybe a little bit kind of the high level, kind of what ZyraTalk is, how it helps home services business, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned how AI can be such a broad term, and it's true. People hear the buzzword AI, but the problem a lot of business owners have is, okay, AI sounds great, but how do I incorporate it into my business? And how do I actually solve a specific use case? So that's where we come in here at ZyraTalk. I'll back up and give our story. We've been in the AI and automation space for 10 years now. So January of 2025 was our 10-year anniversary, and we really started in the AI chat space. So we started with that actually 8 years ago or so. We tried to build an AI voice platform to automate phone calls. The technology just was not there. Fun fact, we were using IBM Watson's intent analyzer. We were using a very robotic Google Voice or something. I don't even remember at the time, but it just was not ready to go to market with. And we ran with chat and automating chat conversations on websites for a very long time. We've onboarded well over 5,000, I think over 6,000 customers to date on the chat side. On the voice side of the business, we launched that about 2.5 years ago, and it's been going very well. So we're handling well over 100,000 conversations per week now. With the summer season coming up, I expect that number to increase pretty significantly. And really the problem that we're solving for businesses is businesses miss a lot of phone calls. We have data from some of our marketing agency partners. They miss anywhere from 15 to 35% of their phone calls. Pretty big range, but no matter what the number is, it's a big problem. So businesses are leaking, they're leaking revenue, jobs are slipping through the cracks, and we don't let businesses miss phone calls. We're trying to get that number as close to 0% as possible for our clients. And we do that by implementing AI for overflow phone calls. If they're too busy and don't get to a phone call in time, the AI answers. After hours, when all the customer service reps go home, AI is the front line, and the weekends as well. So those are really the 3 big use cases. I'll talk more later on this and how we have some people using us as their front line and CSRs as the backup. But yeah, that's our background, and we're moving quickly. We onboard about 30 to 50 new clients per week, so a lot of demand out there.
That's awesome. And I think something that we're using in our business, and a lot of people are starting to catch on to the fact that you can utilize this. What are some of the, I guess let's just address these right up front. What are some of the things that you hear from customers who are maybe a little bit hesitant? Like, I don't know about this, like AI, this, that, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it all. Like, what are those things that you commonly hear? And I think it's important for listeners just to like, okay, I'm not the only one that has this concern. And then maybe we could kind of walk through, okay, here's how we address this. Or I think more importantly, here's actually what the data tells us.
Yes, yeah, I'll touch on both of those. Because yeah, I mean, we'll get on a discovery call with a client, and they're just like, I don't know if my customers are gonna like this. I don't know if they're gonna want to talk to AI. And we have the data that shows well over 95% of the time, people are willing to talk to the AI. There are people who will just say right off the bat, let me talk to a human. And we're not naive to that fact that some people just want to talk to a human, and we can transfer the call back to a human. So no big deal there. It works out if someone wants to do that. And then some other things, people will be like, is the AI going to sound robotic? Is it going to integrate with my current systems and my workflows? As far as it being robotic, the answer is no. It sounds very human-like, and there are different voices that people can choose from. If they want a male voice, if they want a female voice, which most people do, or if they want an Australian or a British sounding voice, we've got a ton of different options. We even have some clients who want it to sound near or exactly like them, which is interesting. But yeah, so it works out well. We've got the data that proves it as well, and we even have data matching it back to revenue and actual jobs that these AI phone calls are turning into. So pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of, while people are really concerned about the robotic nature of AI, I think that the flip side, and I'd like you to speak to this a little bit, is, the flip side is that the robot CSR should never make a mistake because you program it to have empathy, to book the call, to fight through objections. Like, how do you guys work with customers to like build that model so that like, ooh, I wanted to say this, not that, or hey, they need to make sure that we cover all of these, parameters or T's and C's or whatever it may be. Like, how does that process work? Like, I'm a new customer
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that this is the thing. Like, what's that process look like?
Yeah, onboarding is it's pretty straightforward. We've really streamlined our process. If someone signs up, they can be up and running within 1 week, would be pretty quick. 2 weeks is a pretty safe time frame. As far as that process, though, we're training the AI based on your business. So when we do our first onboarding call, we're understanding specifics about your business. What are your dispatch fees? What services you do or don't work on? If you have technicians that are on call in the middle of the night, okay, how are we going to notify technicians in the middle of the night? So it's our job to really understand a new client's business and how exactly they need to be onboarded. Because we all know not every home service business or just any business in general, their operations may be similar, but no one is exactly the same. So that's our job to understand, okay, how exactly are we going to fit in and onboard someone efficiently and train it based on your data, how you want the AI to respond. You mentioned the AI not making mistakes. It shouldn't make mistakes. I'll be the first to say, whether you use us or maybe a different vendor, there are going to be mistakes, and we have a process for that as well. If there's a call that maybe didn't go perfectly, you can submit that for additional training, and our team is very quick on the support side to get fixes made and implemented. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. After you're up and running for about a month or so, though, it's on rails and it's working very, very well.
Yeah. What if I'm a customer and I'm thinking, I'm trying to bring up all of the objections and allow
Yeah,
you to handle
absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a customer and I'm like, well, how's the AI gonna know like that it can book the call today versus tomorrow, or how's it gonna know that hey, this is a no hot water. I need to do everything I can to book that. Like, how do you guys train your AI to like handle those types of situations that we know a lot of home service businesses are going through?
Yeah. Well, for us, it's important to, as we do those onboarding calls, it's important to understand, okay, what FSM are you using? Is it a Service Titan? Is it a House Call Pro? Is it a Jobber? Or whatever it is. And then from there, it's like, okay, what are your business units? What are your job types? What's capacity planning for these specific things as well? So we're able to know, and we integrate with all of the main FSMs. So we can understand, okay, what's the available capacity? And we can book the job straight into your FSM. And it's it's come a long way from where we started 2.5 years ago or so. But being able to book the job, have it go onto the dispatch board or into the bookings tab. Again, every company's different and they want it set up a different way. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of ways that it can be set up, and we're confident that we're able to set it up and fit with businesses' processes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's the one thing I've noticed from, um, a lot of these softwares, call it 2, 3 years ago, it was very like, it was, pardon the pun, it was very robotic. Like, hey, this is the only way that it can get into the system and so on and so forth. And I feel like with technology and with just people getting more comfortable, especially on your side of the coin, getting more comfortable with like, hey, here's how the operation works. Like we've got to build stuff that kind of flows within their process, so that's not cumbersome. I feel like that was kind of the holdup, at least for us on a lot of things, is like, well, we're gonna have to create an entirely different process to work with this tool. So, like, is the tool, you know, really worth it? Should we look at it? And I think what we found is the flexibility and the ease with which a lot of these things work is it's fairly seamless. Like you said, if you can be up and running in like 2 weeks, I think that's really critical. I think the other piece of or the interesting piece to me is really the data behind all this stuff.
Yeah.
How do you guys leverage like the data and either providing that to customers or helping them make decisions based on kind of what you're seeing on your side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to talk about the data. I do want to take a step back because you mentioned you guys made some changes to your processes as well. And we'll tell clients that on a discovery call. This is a big enough problem where making minor tweaks in your business process is going to be worth it. And that brings me to the data because we're able to attribute revenue of calls that originated from AI phone calls and show the revenue that they actually turned into. And keep in mind, these are jobs that likely would have been missed phone calls. So, to give you an example and a case study, I always like to talk about there's a business, I won't say their name, but they do about 35 million a year. And every month, we're able to attribute between $600 and $700,000 in revenue with AI phone calls. So this company, their story, Q2, Q3 of last year, really the busy time of the year, they lost 6 CSRs. And they were like, we had a hard time hiring. And if we did hire someone, someone else would leave. It's a role where the attrition rate is pretty high. So at the end of Q3, they found out about us and we onboarded them pretty quickly. Their year over year growth in Q2, Q3 while they were going through those struggles was around 0%. When they onboarded with us, Q4, their year over year growth was 15%. And they gave us a lot of credit to that because they had the technicians to handle the jobs. And their thing was like, now if we lose CSRs, we, as bad as it sounds, we're not really looking to hire more. We're just looking to scale up with the AI because we know the integration works really well and we're able to prove out the revenue. And again, not every job is someone scheduling, but the AI can still handle phone calls if someone's like, hey, where's my technician? Or hey, I need to reschedule or I need to cancel. There's so many different scenarios. And Yeah, it's worked out extremely well for them. So being able to attribute the revenue to actual jobs is a game changer.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think to your point of, most people, I mean, I guess depending on where you are in the country, but I think most people, Memorial Day to Labor Day is kind of when the getting's good.
Yeah.
It's hot. People don't want to do without air conditioning. And so you're probably never going to be able to staff your CSRs to be able to handle the influx of demand within these businesses, especially HVAC based. You're not going to be able to staff to that. So you're going to miss phone calls. Like it's kind of like it's going to happen. So if you
Yeah.
know it's going to happen, what are the things that you can put in place that are going to help eliminate some of that? I think your point to like, hey, we're able to attribute this much revenue to AI phone calls. Well, if the AI is the backup to your regular CSRs, those are probably jobs that you were not going to book in the first place. So regardless of if any dollars is a win for the majority of companies.
Yeah. I know we talked about 15 to 35% of phone calls are missed. And if you can attribute anything to an improvement on that, yeah, it's a no-brainer, to be honest.
Yeah. What you mentioned earlier, like some people are using it as kind of the backup. So, hey, if there's a hold queue, it rolls to AI, you wipe out your hold queue in a matter of seconds
Yes.
because AI can answer as many phone calls as you want it to answer at the same time, which is great. What are the companies or what's kind of the logic behind the companies that are using it as their front line?
Yeah, great question. So companies that are using it as the front line, the important thing there is to announce that it's AI in the beginning, because some people who use it as the backup, they don't necessarily announce that it's AI right from the get-go. Maybe they'll say it in the second or third response of the conversation. But if you're using it as the front line, announcing that it's AI in the beginning is important because there are some people, maybe 20%, usually it's like 2 out of 10, that will say speak to a human. So they have their CSRs as the backup. Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, it's a frontline call and it's first call resolution. It's either getting them booked, it's answering their question. If it's something complex or if it's a billing related question, then it'll just transfer to a human. So yeah, it works out very well. Like I think our biggest client who's doing it as the frontline, they do 15 to 20 million a year. So they get significant call volume, sometimes hundreds of calls a day. And yeah, they're extremely happy because everything's feeding into Service Titan, going into the right spot. And yeah, it works very well for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that's something we've batted around of, where to use it, how to use it most effectively. When I think about it, whether it's on the front end or the back end, it's thinking about all the things. If you truly believe that your call center is in charge of filling the board. So if you need 30 calls to run today, they're responsible for filling the board. Well, a lot of the time, they're basically reliant on the phone ringing.
Yeah.
So like they don't have a lot of tools where there's a lot of things that I think our CSR teams can be doing to be actively filling that board. And sometimes utilizing AI to take, a customer just calling to see where the tech is, a customer calling to reschedule, all of these like low level calls that don't need a whole lot of like, it's just basically like, hey, great, I'll send you a link to reschedule, or hey, yeah, let's get that rescheduled for you. Like I think it's important to look at call volume, or when you look at your total call volume, like how many of those are actual leads, and is there a way to parse out that data to see, hey, maybe we're really passionate about putting a live human on the phone with a really, really good lead. Okay, great. Can't disagree with you there. But how do we pull off some of that call volume so that they are talking to bookable leads? What are you seeing people do in that realm of things as far as kind of how to strategize and figure out what's the best use of our CSR's time? I would imagine that most people would agree taking a robocall or a telemarketer is something that they don't want their CSR's time tied up on.
Eh, you're spot on. And the other thing with that is During the summertime, there are some companies who train their CSRs to rush through phone calls because they know that other people are on hold and people are waiting and they may have a unit that isn't working and you don't want them to call another competitor. I have another story from one of our clients. She told me they retrained their entire team and said, give every caller the attention that they need, answer all of their questions, because we have the AI as the backup. If you don't get to someone within 20 to 30 seconds, it's just going to go to the AI and have a conversation with them. So give the customer the attention that they need and don't rush through calls anymore. And then during the shoulder seasons, it also opens up CSRs to do some outbound. And that's something interesting that I've heard as well. Rather than, oh my gosh, we're going to fire all of our CSRs and get rid of everyone, which, by the way, people are not really doing. They're transitioning to different roles, doing outbound, maybe transitioning someone to become a dispatcher. So there's a lot of different use cases and things that have naturally happened for businesses that are implementing this. Not only are they missing less phone calls, but they're able to fill different positions and have other revenue generating things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you seeing? I feel like the whole um, lead aggregator, and I guess for listeners, when I say lead aggregator, I'm talking like Angie's List,
Mhm.
Modernize, Thumbtack, all of these places. Like, obviously, I think most people know that speed to lead on those types of leads is extremely, extremely critical. Are you guys doing anything in that realm to kind of help, get those leads answered? I know on some of ours, like even some of the ones we use, they're like, you need to call these people literally 3 times a day, every day for, a week and a half before you get them booked. And we truly see that. It's like, oh my God, I feel like a pest. And at the end of the day, it's just trying to get a hold of somebody. What are you guys seeing on that side of things as far as how AI can help, or does it? Or it may be one of these
Yeah.
conversations where, like we just talked about, your CSRs freed up some time that they can make these kind of outbound calls.
Yeah, that's one thing. CSR's time is freed up and can make outbound calls. Um, People ask pretty much every day, "Oh, can the AI do outbound calls?" And it's in our development pipeline. I mean, we've really been focused on solving the inbound problem with missed phone calls, but people ask about outbound all the time because speed to lead is critical. And with these lead aggregators like Angie, Home Advisor, Thumbtack, whatever, if you don't call someone within a few minutes, yeah, they're on to the next person. And when we talk about doing outbound with AI, it would all be trigger-based outbound. So if someone fills a form on your website, if a lead from one of these lead aggregators happens, we're not gonna, we actually won't allow someone to upload a massive list of random people for the AI to do outbound calls. We're gonna get sued, you're gonna get sued. But if it's trigger-based outbound, yes, that's something that is in our dev pipeline and something that we're excited about it because we hear it pretty much every day from our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a big thing. And it seems to me that I feel like lead aggregators were like a thing. And then COVID happened and you really didn't need them. And now it's like, oh, shoot, this is a decent source of lead volume for us. So we're silly if we don't pay attention to it. So yeah, I think that's interesting, but it does take work to get those booked. That's
Oh,
for
for sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, what else? You mentioned your pipeline. Like, what else are you guys curious about, interested in? Problems out there that, hey, yeah, this is on our roadmap to solve. Like, what are you guys thinking about or seeing out there?
Yeah. Well, we don't want to just solve the inbound problem. We want to be the full call center solution. And we understand that a lot of businesses, they still want to use humans, and humans aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We still see that as a very big component of the call center. But something that we can do and something that we're actually launching by the time this episode is out, this should be launched, is what we call Zyra Coach. And that's going to be coaching CSRs. So based on the live human phone calls, we're able to grade those. We're able to give sentiment of, hey, this went from a customer who was kind of freaking out at the beginning of the call to someone who ended out as happy at the end of the phone call, as happy as you can be with maybe an emergency job. Um, but we're able to give recommendations and coaching suggestions to CSRs based on how the company wants it set up. And there is one more thing that we're building, and uh, tying it with that. I won't get into the details of that. That's something that we're likely going to do a press release and launching on. But it's all going to tie together with the AI coach, and that is something that our clients ask us for all the time as well. Because I won't name any companies out there, but there are businesses out there who do human grading phone calls and give suggestions, and it's extremely expensive. Thousands of dollars a month for maybe a couple hundred phone calls, maybe up to 1,000, but it's very cost prohibitive to scale that, and we'll be able to do that with every human call, even the AI phone calls. What were the sentiments? How can we improve? So that's something that we're extremely excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think that that's critically important. I mean, if listeners are out there like, oh, well, AI will solve everything, like you're still going to have, humans to handle a good number of calls. I mean, you got people that call in with questions and different stuff like that, having that human interaction is going to be critical to making sure that your level of service is still up there. And to me, it's oftentimes, we look at our booking rate every single day. Where was it at the day before? And how do we improve it? Or who's struggling or who needs help? And it's really time consuming if you're using a third party or if you're just doing it internally, to listen to every call and then be able to give feedback objectively. Um, and I think it also speaks to when is feedback being given to a CSR as to why you didn't book that. It could be something very simple like, ooh, you said this, probably don't say that. Or, hey, you could have handled that objection this way, whatever it may be. That in the moment kind of feedback could, potentially save the next couple of calls that they're on because they got that feedback and they're making the correction, in real time.
Yeah, exactly. Or, hey, you forgot to mention our VIP membership at the end of the call, or you forgot our ending phrase that we want to say.
Yep.
And to businesses, I mean, that's super important to a lot of the owners out there to have it on script saying what they want.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like the crazy part is that this is an area of the business that often gets forgotten. It is, the focus is all on the field. How do we sell more jobs? How do we put more jobs in? All of that stuff. And I think what's so often is forgotten is that there's so much money, and you spoke to it at the beginning, there's so much money being lost. And you listen to anything out there, leads aren't getting cheaper by any stretch of the imagination. So you're paying more for these leads, and if you're not booking them, you're spending a lot of money on leads that you never even get the opportunity to serve the customer. And so to me, all of this stuff, whether it's AI picking up phone calls that would have never got answered, whether it's coaching CSRs, all of this stuff is vitally important to the health of your business.
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned staffing up adequately for those potential misleads, and throwing more humans at these influx of phone calls during the summertime is one thing that you can do. Or you can hire a third-party answering service. And we actually have answering services who are using our product as sometimes their front end, a lot of cases their back end, because they have the same problem. Even if you use a third-party answering service, they have to staff for the influx of phone calls as well. So yeah, it's a people problem. There's
Yep.
so many phone calls. Like you said, leads on Google, LSA, Google Ads, they're not getting cheaper. They actually doubled compared to 2023 going into 2024. Cost per lead and customer acquisition costs, it doubled. I'm expecting it to increase even more in 2025. So, got to make sure you're answering every single phone call.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Um, You mentioned kind of the ramp up phase with you guys. You said a week would be really fast, 2 weeks. Like, take us through someone who's interested in potentially utilizing your guys' service. Like, take me through, like, what do those 2 weeks look like? How much of a lift? Because I can imagine that's a big thing. It's like, I already got all this other stuff
Yeah.
going on. Like, how am I going to do this? Like, what does that look like for a customer?
Yeah. For anyone listening, your job is not to become an AI expert and learn how to train an AI CSR, AI voice agent. That's our job. We do the heavy lifting for our clients. So as far as the process, you go through a discovery call, essentially like a sales call, but we're not super pitchy or salesy. In fact, we'll disqualify potential businesses if we don't think that they're a good fit for our product. Um, with how many businesses that we are onboarding every week, we want to make sure it's a right fit for both parties. So we're not super salesy trying to get people over the hump. We're trying to understand their business and their processes during a discovery call while showing them, hey, here's our product and here's how we feel like we could fit in. Once the deal is closed, it moves on to onboarding. So that first onboarding call, we typically have things ready. Hey, we see that you work on all of these different business or these different job types. So we have a lot filled out, but we'll ask, hey, do you do any commercial work? Because some people are like, yes, but only this, or no, we don't do commercial work at all. So there's little things that we're trying to understand as we build out the AI model. So after that call, it's usually 30 to 45 minutes from the business owner or maybe their call center manager. Then we build it out. We do testing on our end. Typically, our clients like to do a little bit of testing on their end. And then we set up, well, maybe there's little tweaks that need to be made. Then we set up the go live call. And we actually have VoIP experts on our team. So whether you're using a dial pad, a Ring Central, you don't need to be an expert in those platforms as well. We do the heavy lifting. We set up the call forwarding rules. That's essentially what it is. The AI CSR is hosted on one of our numbers, and it's call forwarding to the AI number. Nothing is lost in the tracking process. Calls are still recorded and sent into your back end. But yeah, that's the process. Usually takes about 1 to 2 weeks. And we do the heavy lifting. Again, I want to stress this. You do not have to become a full-on AI expert. We'll take care of that for you. Even if there's something where you're like, hey, we're in a live environment now and a call didn't go as planned, submit it for training. We take care of that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seems like a kind of a full-on, hey, we'll take care of it once we get it trained. I think the important thing, and I don't know if I'm just going to say this from my end, you may tell me differently, but like, also when you go live, like, there's a learning that has to happen. Like,
For sure.
it's not going to go perfect every single call. Like, you're going to miss calls, but think about it. Without AI, you were never going to answer it anyway. So at
Exactly.
least you got a chance to answer it. And then we can work on, hey, we want it to say this. We don't want it to say that. It kind of confused the customer, whatever. Okay, well, we can work through that. The great thing is you can provide AI training pretty quickly of like, okay, well, we just need to change this little parameter or whatever it may be.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're approaching over 50 people on our team. So when there are requests, we are very, very quick. And like you said, when you initially launch, yes, there are things aren't perfect. I'll be the first person to say we are not perfect. But we take things head on and we make improvements very, very quickly. So my suggestion to people is don't delay the process of getting live. Some people they'll do 100 test calls on their own and be like, oh, it didn't say this perfectly, or it didn't say this. And we're like, just go live. That's where we're going to be even quicker than you doing these testing. And some people will literally do test calls. Who's going to win the Super Bowl next year? And I'm just like, your clients are not
Yep.
asking that. You're testing scenarios that are not real world. It's kind of
Yep.
funny listening to them, but
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, man, hey, I appreciate the time. Obviously, as I said at the outset, appreciate the partnership. I think that what you guys offer can help out a ton of people, especially as we're kind of nearing busy season. And this is a great time to be thinking about a solution like this of like, hey, how am I going to grab all these extra calls? And how am I going to see the growth without spending an extra dime of marketing? Like, I
yes.
think that's the important thing to remember is oftentimes it's like, well, shoot, if I'm going to grow, I need to double my marketing budget. And, I urge people to like look at all the calls that you're currently getting. There's a reason even a company of our size, we are literally looking at every single call that was unbooked from the day before and figuring out what kind of tweak do we need to make. Do we need to add technicians? Do we need to, whatever it may be? It is just, we are hyper focused on making sure that every call that we pay for or comes in or whatever it is being booked so that we have the opportunity to run it, which I think is so critically important.
Yeah, and let me tell one story actually, because you mentioned businesses think in order to grow, oh, we got to double our marketing spend or we got to increase how much we're investing in PPC, Google Ads. We have a client who they were not answering any calls on the weekends. They didn't have an answering service. They didn't have CSRs. And this is a big company doing like, they're not massive, but they do like 5 million a year. So pretty significant size. And they onboarded with us and they were like, we're not even spending on Google Ads anymore. So they scaled that back. It was like 10 grand a month. And they were like, we still spend on LSA, but we're saving on our PPC spend and we can invest that elsewhere. And it just worked out extremely well for them. So you don't have to increase your marketing spend to grow. You just have to answer the phone calls. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely. Well, again, appreciate you spending some time. I guess, last but not least, if people are interested in learning more about how they can partner with you guys and how you may be able to help, what's kind of the easiest way to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, just go to ZyraTalk.com, ZYRA talk.com. And at the top of the page, just request a demo. And it's a discovery call. Again, we're not super salesy. If you don't end up using us, at least you learned what's out there. And yeah, that's it. Or you can email me, brad@ZyraTalk.com. I'm pretty responsive. I love talking to our clients or people who are interested in our product. So you can always reach out to me, whether you're a current client with questions or you're someone who's interested in using us. Please reach out to me.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Well, again, Brad, thanks a lot. Listeners, if this is interesting to you, or hey, this could really help our business, don't be afraid to reach out to Brad and team, and get something going. I think it's worth, at minimum, a discovery call of figuring out, one, what does our call center data look like right now, and how could this, potentially impact, what our summer looks like, and ultimately what our 2025 looks like. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, and as always, keep growing out there.